movie that just came to video on demand. Dave, did you see this one in theaters though?
Personal History of David Copperfield. I wanted to actually. It was one of the first movies to like open back up theaters like the week
Hmm.
before Tenet came out, and it left the theaters around me kind of quickly. And like
Gotcha.
I had been strategic, like looking to go last minute when no one would be around, and next thing I know, it really wasn't playing by me
Hmm.
anymore, and it was all like reruns of like Hocus Pocus and Jurassic Park and shit. So I wanted to see it, and I didn't actually get to it, so I waited till VOD as well. It just came out yesterday.
Well, and now that you've seen it, do you think Dev Patel as the title character, David Copperfield, is a good casting? Do you think he brings something to this movie that really elevates it to being a good movie?
I think he's good casting. Dev Patel, I think, it just kind of has a winning energy to him, and that's actually one of the things I liked most about the personal history of David Copperfield was just how kind of whimsical and like good natured it was.
Hmm.
And Dev can bring a lot of that. Dev was kind of set up to have a big summer. He had two leading roles at the theater this year, and because David Copperfield was supposed to come out in May in the theater, and then soon followed after with A24's The Green Knight, which he also is the lead. So tough stuff for Dev there. But yeah, I liked him a lot. I think he was able to play off the kind of stacked ensemble cast well as his character kind of goes through the motions. But I think overall the movie left me a bit underwhelmed. I had higher expectations for this because I knew it was well liked at a TIFF last year, and this is the second movie from Iannucci after Death of Stalin, which I really loved.
Hmm.
And I think I was expecting more humor, I think more obvious humor. Like, there's funny moments in this movie, but it's almost like more subtle. It's more like background stuff. It's not like
Hmm.
it's pointed, precise jokes the way Veep or Death of Stalin are.
Yep.
Um, and that kind of left me a little disappointed.
Yeah, I there's something that just was not hitting for me with this. I thought Dev Patel was really strong. I mean, he's just I think one of the best working actors we have right now. Um, but I do think like that whimsical nature of it, and it's obviously told also as like a recounting of a story. So there's parts that are played up, and you know uh very like interesting setup where like you'll even see like lines put on a screen to kind of like bring you into a different part of the story, a different act, things like that. um and I think in just kind of like processing out loud, the part that I found myself not really vibing with was there was this like almost like I don't know, like young adult adolescent feeling to it that I almost felt like this was a movie that almost could have been made for kids if a
Hmm.
couple of things had been like changed.
A little
And
too
it's
familiar to Enola Holmes in the beginning, at
yeah,
least.
a little bit. And I think I just was kind of left like, is this movie really for me? Don't really know. And I also do think my expectations, this being an Iannucci movie, um, were, as you said, for something that was going to be a little bit more like snappy, a little bit more like chippy, and it wasn't really that.
No, and so obviously this is based off of David Copperfield, the famous Charles Dickens novel.
Mhm.
Have you read that one? I have not read David Copperfield. Like I knew the name, I obviously knew it was one of his big
Yeah.
titles, but like I wasn't familiar with it. Like Tale of Two Cities, Oliver Twist, Christmas Carol.
Yep.
Like I feel like he has more famous works.
Oh, for sure. For the amount of times I've read the other ones, I can't recall if I read this. The story doesn't ring a bell to me. And obviously, it's about this like orphan,
Hmm.
or child that was orphaned and sent all around, goes on these adventures.
Yeah.
Becomes an author, things like that.
So I think like kind of the trials and tribulations of youth and the coming of age stuff. That's probably from the source material as far as we know what we know about Dickensian works.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like Iannucci reinvented the wheel all that much. Obviously, there's colorblind casting throughout this, which I really enjoyed because again, Dev Patel is a very winning presence, obviously a
Hmm.
leading man type actor, and you have really funny like supporting work from people like Benedict Wong, for example, who I thought
Hmm.
was just really funny as this
Yeah.
drunk fuck, like throughout. I really like the casting, but yeah, Yeah, I
Yeah.
was let down because this is something I'd really been looking forward to. Um, and it had been in limbo, because this was a movie that was put out in the U.S. by Searchlight, formerly Fox Searchlight, and it had
Hmm.
been in limbo since the Fox acquisition. And everyone's kind of wondering, what's Disney going to do with this movie? Are they going to dump it on Hulu? Are they going to sell it to someone else? And they're like, we'll just send it off to die when theaters open up. And I actually looked; it made like 13 million or so
Wow.
worldwide. I think 12 million of that, or 11 million of that, was not in the U.S. But
Hmm.
so it made a little bit of money. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just felt like I don't know, like the plot just kind of lost me a little bit. Like I just had a hard time being interested, and
Yeah.
like again, like all the parts that I knew about it coming in, and even like seeing the scene, I'm usually kind of entertained. But this is obviously set in Victorian England, but like if I want something like that, I almost wish it had like a real sense of humor the way Emma does, the Jane
Yeah.
Austen adaptation from earlier this year. So yeah, it let me down.
I've been trying to think of what movie that like I get the vibe of from this, and the movie I think that comes to me is the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but like the newer one, the Johnny
Oh,
Depp. It gives me
geez.
that
Oh,
feeling
five.
of like before they go to like the chocolate factory, and I mean that one's a little bit dingier. This one's a lot more like brighter and whimsical, like you said, but just kind of like the overall like the beats to it and just like the general sense of what they're going for feels like that. And I think especially when you have as many talented people working on this. I mean, you have Tilda Swinton, Benedict Wong, like you talked about, Ben Wishaw.
Mhm.
There's a lot of big
Hugh
names.
Laurie,
Yeah, Hugh
um,
Laurie, obviously, I forgot.
Peter
Um,
Capaldi, and Gwendolyn Christie. Like it's truly loaded.
yeah, you expect this to be something you're going to be talking about a lot, and in the end, I feel like this is just pretty forgettable in a lot of ways. Which, thinking about Iannucci coming off of Stalin, and then Veep ending goes to Avenue Five, and this just
Mm-mm.
is it's not moving in the right direction
No, no,
for
sir.
sure. Um, you know, Going back to Benedict Wong though, the moment when he keeps trying to get a drink, and Tilda Swinton's character keeps like stopping him, and then Hugh Laurie and David Copperfield run by, and they're like, "Oh, just have a drink. Like I know how much you love this."
Yeah,
And that was one of my favorite moments of the whole thing.
yeah. I also like the bit about how David just lets people call him whatever he wants, and his nickname changes like every like 20 minutes. Like
Yep.
like, stuff like that. Like some of the continuity with the characters, I think is done well. But I think the overall narrative, I just thought it would grab me more than it ended up doing.
Yeah, and I think because of that, the third act really fell flat for me. Found myself just like wanting the movie to be over, unfortunately, which you know, not they can't all be hits, right, Dave?
That's right. That's right. We tried.